Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're taking a deep dive into one of the absolutely most thrilling and intense sequences in all of literature, Shakespeare's Julius Caesar, specifically Act 1, Scene 3. Now, if you're sitting there thinking classical literature is just dry, dusty history, well, buckle up. We're about to unpack a masterclass in psychological manipulation and a brewing political conspiracy, all hidden within the backdrop of an apocalyptic storm. Okay, let's dive into this. I want you to picture the scene. You're walking down the dark, cobblestone streets of Rome. The earth is literally shaking beneath your feet, the sky is raining down fire, and suddenly you see a lion prowling right past the Capitol building. It locks eyes with you, glares, and then just casually walks away. Would you brush that off as just a weird glitch in nature? Or would you feel, deep down in your bones, that this was a supernatural warning? This is the exact, eerie, supernatural tension that establishes a Rome on the absolute brink of chaos as we open the scene. Here's a quick roadmap for today's explainer. First up, we have the storm and omens, then interpreting the signs, why Cassius is dull, Cassius the manipulator, the plot against Caesar, and finally, fate versus free will. Jumping right into section 1, the storm and omens. So the scene opens on this incredibly violent, thunderous night in Rome. The wind is splitting ancient oak trees and the ocean is foaming all the way up to the clouds. Right in the middle of this total chaos, a terrified Casca is wandering the streets. He's breathless, he's got his sword drawn, and it's because he's just witnessed some truly horrifying sights. He sees a common slave whose left hand is flaming like 20 torches, yet somehow the flesh isn't burning at all. He runs into that surly line at the Capitol. He sees this huddled group of 100 terrified women who swear they just watched men covered in fire walking up and down the streets. Oh, and yesterday, a nocturnal owl was sitting in the marketplace at high noon, just hooting and shrieking. This whole cluster of bizarre, unnatural phenomena isn't just for spooky effect, It sets a highly effective thriller-like tone. Casca is fully convinced that either the gods are having a civil war up there, or humans have done something so terribly offensive that the heavens are sending down total destruction. Moving on to section 2. Interpreting the signs. Now, what's really interesting about this slide is how completely differently people process the exact same terrifying reality. On one hand, we've got Casca's omen-driven panic. He firmly believes these are portentous things, basically direct warnings from the gods targeted specifically at Rome. But then we have Cicero. Cicero is this respected elder statesman, and he offers an incredibly rational, pragmatic observation. He acknowledges the weather is definitely strange, but he basically says that people just see what they want to see. Men tend to interpret things to fit their own narratives, completely missing the actual reality of the situation. It is a brilliant piece of psychological insight dropped right in the middle of a thunderstorm. And this brings us to a really crucial literary device at play here, the pathetic fallacy. Now, no, that doesn't mean the weather is acting pathetic. It actually means the inanimate, natural world is reflecting human turmoil. Basically, Mother Nature is being just as dramatic as the politicians. In this case, the physical, violent weather perfectly mirrors the turbulent, highly dangerous political climate of Rome. The heavens are literally tearing themselves apart, which directly foreshadows the horrifying secret plan to murder Julius Caesar that's currently taking shape in the dark corners of the city. Which brings us to section 3, why Casca is dull. So Cicero leaves to get out of the rain, and this terrified Casca bumps into Cassius, who is shockingly calm. Actually, is more than calm. He's energized by the storm. Instead of comforting the panicked Casca, Cassius just launches into the psychological takedown. He calls him dull and says he lacks the sparks of life a true Roman should possess. Let's break down exactly why. First up, a lack of perception. Cassius tells Casca that he's just staring in dumb wonder at the storm, instead of using his intellect to realize these omens are warnings about a monstrous state, which is a direct jab at Caesar's unnatural rise to power. Second, a lack of courage or initiative. Cassius is showing fear and passivity, and Cassius believes a true Roman should be bold, always ready to take action to defend liberty. And finally, a lack of political awareness. Cassius seems blindly indifferent to the massive fact that the Senate is planning to crown Caesar king the very next day. Cassius masterfully uses this moment to shame Casca, essentially bullying him into waking up to the political reality of Rome. And that leads us perfectly into section 4, Cassius the manipulator. We really have to view Cassius as a brilliant, incredibly opportunistic political strategist. He knows exactly how to read a room, or, well, a storm, and he uses it to his total advantage. Just listen to his words. He wouldn't prey on us like a wolf, except that he sees that all the Romans are sheep. He would be no lion if the Romans didn't act like deer. And this brilliantly illustrates how he weaponizes Casca's fear. He redirects all of Casca's terror about the weather into pure anger at Julius Caesar and the Roman public itself. He argues that Caesar is only a monster because the Roman people have become weak, effeminate, and totally compliant. By framing the Romans as willing slaves and just kindling for Caesar's fire, Cassius brilliantly goads Casca's pride. It works perfectly, prompting Casca to finally step up and say, "Take my hand. I will go as far as anyone in redressing these wrongs." To really hammer his point home, Cassius actually unbuttons his jacket, literally baring his chest to the thunder and lightning. Every time the sky flashes, he's presenting himself as a target. This brazen lack of fear is such a calculated display. He's showing Casca that he feels threatened only by Caesar's rise, absolutely not by the gods. In fact, Cassius claims the gods are the ones empowering the weak to defeat tyrants. He's become almost beast-like in his obsession here, reveling in the terrifying atmosphere, simply because it matches his own bloody, violent intentions.
Let's move to Section 5, the plot against Caesar.
Things are moving fast now. Another conspirator, Cinna, arrives in a total hurry to reveal that a resistance movement of noble-minded Romans is already waiting over at Pompey's theater. But they are missing one absolutely crucial piece to the puzzle: Marcus Brutus. Cinna is desperate for him. But why? Well, Casca explains it perfectly. Brutus sits highly respected in the hearts of the Roman people. If Cassius and his crew just go and murder Caesar, it's going to look like a brutal, offensive, cold-blooded assassination. But if the honorable Brutus is leading them, his reputation will act literally like alchemy, just as alchemy supposedly turns cheap base metals into solid gold. Brutus's involvement will magically transform their bloody enterprise into an act of virtue and worthiness in the eyes of the public. Basically, they need Brutus for pure political legitimacy.
So how exactly do they get Brutus on board? Well, Cassius orchestrates what is essentially a psychological heist. He hands Cinna a bunch of forged letters and gives him very specific instructions. Step 1, place a note on Brutus's official chair in the Capitol. Step 2, throw another note directly through his window. And Step 3, attach a final note with wax to the statue of Brutus's famous ancestor, an ancestor who, by the way, famously fought against kings. Cassius knows Brutus will take the written word at face value. It's a highly calculated, brilliant psychological operation designed to manipulate Brutus's deep sense of honor and duty, pushing him right over the edge to join the conspiracy before the sun even comes up.
And finally, Section 6, Fate versus Free Will. Stepping back from the immediate plot for a second, this entire scene balances on a massive philosophical contradiction. So the crucial point is figuring out what these omens actually mean. Are these supernatural signs evidence of fate? Meaning, are they announcements of a pre-written destiny firmly controlled by the gods, signifying that Caesar's doom is sealed no matter what anyone does? Or are these omens evidence of free will? Meaning they're simply warnings of impending events, meant to give humans the advance information they need to alter their own destiny. Are the gods controlling the action, or are they just giving Rome a chance to change it?
Which brings us to our final, lingering thought. Do omens prove our fate is already written, or do they warn us so we can change it? As you sit there and think about Cassius twisting a literal thunderstorm to fit his own political agenda, and Brutus about to be totally manipulated by forged letters, I really want you to ponder, who is actually in control here? Are these men shaping history, or are they just playing out parts in a tragedy the gods have already written? Keep that question in mind as you explore the rest of this incredible story. Thank you so much for joining me on this explainer. And
share, learn, and inspire.